Hey, everybody, welcome to iConversations. Today, we are joined with James Stacey and Krish Gajera. And today we're going to be talking about the subject, and I think it's an important subject, about competing for business in a small market. Um, so, uh, and how we're going to break this down is that each of us is working in a small market per se. I mean, most of our agents across EXP don't service like all of Sydney. Like that's not their patch and area of focus. We all are seem to be working in a quasi small area. But before we jump right into that, we want to get a background and an understanding and a welcome to James and to Krish. Krish, we'll start with you. Tell us what state you're in, what area you work in, how long you've been in real estate. Give us your background story.
I'm in South Australia at the moment, and I live in Parafield Garden, which is north side of Adelaide. And I work around like 15-20 kilometers radius from my area. And mostly my market, in my market, I think all the houses roughly around from anywhere around 500 to $900,000.
Yep. Okay.
I've been in real estate for 3.5 years and been with ESP for 3 years now.
Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. James, what about you?
So operating Port Lincoln, South Australia, which is 700 kilometres west of Adelaide, for those that don't know. Median price in my area hovers 450 currently. We sell homes here in my main area, Port Lincoln, range from 220,000 up to $3 million. So versatile market, big range.
Yeah, yeah. And kind of tell us about the what's the population base of Port Lincoln?
So we talk just 5606. So Port Lincoln does have a couple of suburbs on its outer areas as well, but it's about 14.5 to 15,000 people currently.
Right. Okay. And Krish, the area that you're working in, how many people are living in that space?
The suburb that I live in, Parafield Garden, it's about 18,000 people and 5,000 homes. But I cover, I think, 8 to 10 suburbs surrounding.
Yeah.
So probably $200,000 or 200,000 people.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Together.
And the reason I wanted to talk about this, James and I had a brief chat yesterday, and we were talking about, and maybe James, you can start the conversation off for us this way. You're talking about competing for business in a smaller area. What are some of the factors that you are finding, or what's some of the competition doing in your area?
Yeah, so for me, I'm probably a little bit different to most in the fact that like with you know 2.5 hours drive to the next major city centre, call it, but there are sort of smaller towns closer by. So we've got, I think in Port Lincoln, we're talking population 15,000. I think there's about 7,500 homes available in Port Lincoln. There's something like 25, 30 agents that operate or that sell properties in Port Lincoln over the last, or that have sold properties in the last 12 months as well. So it is a fairly saturated little patch. I suppose the things we come up against, it works both in my favour and against me. It is easy to be well known in a smaller regional area because you are well known. Your faces on signboards and whatnot. But that works to your detriment as well because a lot of people also know the other agents. So it's not easy to get. It's easy to get well known in a smaller area. So like we had a conversation with Robert, it's about being, I suppose, front of mind constantly when people need a real estate agent, but also being around, seeing in the community, and buying copies, eating locally, buying locally as much as you can, supporting your local economy.
Well, I wanted to come in and do a little bit more of a deep dive on that, but you mentioned to me yesterday that one of your competitors has decided that one of their pillars is low fees. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so coming up against a startup, or it's not really a startup. They bought a company, an established, very well established company in Port Lincoln, about 2 years ago, and they are now quoting, and bear in mind our median price is 450. They're now quoting 0.9% commission fees. So they are cutting, and they're just trying to build market share. That's all it is. But they're gaining they're getting traction. They've got a fairly good guy that works there. He's on to my understanding, on a wage. I don't think he's a commission paid worker. And for the principal there, it's just about getting signboards up and exposure to the local market. I suppose from there he's going to try and battle to increase his fee. But we all know once you'd start,
it doesn't normally come up.
It does. It is very hard to work its way up because people know, oh, you charge that person that much. How come? And especially in a community like us, people do talk fees. They know what agents charge, and they know if you're going to solicit yourself out at X amount of dollars, then the next person can get it. So, and yeah, I mean, because we are a small town, we do, like I do, you know, communicate and talk and discuss different things with different agents. Not what we are doing, but maybe what the other agents are doing. There's definitely no collusion going on in this town. We're still a very competitive town, very competitive business, but we do sort of, scoff's probably not the right word, but when the agents are going in at 0.9%, it's like, what are they doing? You know, 1.8% would be a low fee in this town where I am, but 0.9 is just unheard of.
And it's not sustainable unless they're funding it from the business itself from other points of view. But I'll come back to you in a minute, James, and I just want to pick up with Krish. Krish, how many agents from other brands are kind of working in your core patch area?
I think roughly around 14 to 15 agents that works in my core area. And some of them has been there for 12, 13 years. And I got Ray White as well. They are also doing similar things. 1%. They are quoting 1%. And they try to get business, and they're getting traction as well. So I think when everybody is doing that, I think you need to be competitive as well. If you are at 2% or 1.8%, it's hard to get a business if somebody is, you know, getting 1% everywhere.
It's an interesting thing, and it's happening. So for those of us that are dinosaurs in the industry that have been in a long time, you see this ebb and flow in the industry, and you see the waves of fees are here, then they're there, then they're here, then they're there. But for a lot of agents, as they go down, they can't recover. Like the agent personally, the individual agent can't recover from that because it's just easier. You know, they stop providing value and they start just, I'm the cheapest. You know, I'm the cheapest. And so it makes it challenging. If we set out the framework, and we've discussed this on many trainings across the group over the last few years, people do business with people that they know, like, and trust. James Stacey, how do you work with that model where you are?
Yeah, so being well known is paramount to my business because I'm not an active on the phone daily prospector. So being out and about in the community is important to me. And that doesn't necessarily, to me, that doesn't mean supporting community events and going to, going to markets and things like that. I know a lot of guys do lots of different things that work for them. And I think that's the most important thing to take from these things is what works for me may not work for you. And Krish and I are very, very different agents in how we do business, but we're both successful in our own right. But it's about like getting the coffee, sitting out in the coffee, being part of your community and investing or giving back to the community way of spending money locally and just being out and being in the shops and being seen and do your shopping. And I think the most important, like we touched on it, Rob, yesterday, is that I've picked up, or the biggest gain that I picked up from joining EXP was I own my own signboards. I do my own signs. I put my own signboards up, and I've probably generated, it's probably one every 2 months, if not more, appraisals, just getting out and chatting to people in the street while you're knocking in a signboard or taking one down.
Tell us about the Port Lincoln James Stacey sign erection process. You've got a big ute, you're a big unit, and you got big signs. So how does that happen?
But sometimes if it's windy, Jason DePola gets the call up as well to help me. But they're 2.2 meters high. When I first started, I needed to align EXP with me. People knew who I was. People knew me, but they had no idea what EXP was. So I needed to align my brand with EXP as fast and as quickly as possible. So the best way to do that for me was like oversized signboards. So they're 2.2 by 1.2 wide. And my face is huge on those signboards as well, which is good. It is an older photo now, so I do look a lot better then than I do now. Obviously, I've had some green pasture for the last 4 or 5 years now, but that's okay. I'm first to admit that.
Yeah.
But so it's rocking up. Signboards go in. I usually do it, 2 or 3 days a week where I just knock them in, knock them out. It's 5 going up a month, 5 coming in a month if I'm selling 5 properties a month, which is what I have been doing over the last few years. And so it's 10 opportunities to try and pick up or conversations or have conversations with people in the street as well. So quite often people will stop, and if they're walking past, and I generally try and do signs around before my business starts, so before 9 o'clock or after 5 o'clock if I'm doing it at night time as well. And it's a great time of the day to catch dog walkers or people out in the street playing or talking to neighbors and whatnot as well. So people are generally out and about. If you do it at 1 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, there's on a Friday afternoon, so there's not going to be anyone around. So do it at a time that I do it at a time that people are around. And people stop and have a conversation with you. They're genuinely interested about if it's a new property coming up, they want to know the price. Even if they're a neighbor, of course, they want to know what it's coming on for. They stop and have a conversation with you, have that conversation. It's no different to doing what everyone should be doing with a new signboard, the 10 by 10 by 20 door knocking the neighbors to let them know the properties come on the market. And I still think that is one of the best ways any agent can prospect or at least have conversations with people, is door knocking those new listings.
I'm interested in you saying that, because when I talk to agents, when you chat to them about like, how's your day, how'd it go, whatever, and they've got goals to hear, and then you talk to them about their activities or their actions or whatever what have you actually done? Not what were you gonna do? What have you actually done? Sometimes there's a gap there, and a lot of agents still do not do, because they're busy or whatever, they don't do that 10 by 10 by 20. And then they get frustrated when there's another brand sign that goes up 4 doors down, a week later. So it's really interesting. Krish, I want to come back to you and just pick your brain a little bit. If we're thinking about people, so I know you started from real estate 3.5 years ago or whatever it was, from a real cold start. And how did you go about getting known? Because now, like very quickly after you came to EXP, you followed what Bjorn and what Chris were doing and Mike and others were doing, and you just went, oh, cool, template. Yeah, I'm just going to do that. So tell us a little bit about that. How did you get to be known?
At the moment, I used to do the letterbox drop, but I stopped doing that. I just printed like a fridge magnet for all the people in my area. So it's got some emergency contact numbers for people to call, like police, hospitals, and all these kind of stuff, like emergency numbers. And underneath that, I got my details and I got my awards and everything. So I printed those, and I'm trying to deliver to my local area. And wherever I go for appraisals, I try to deliver that. And I also have a telemarketing in Vietnam. So they are calling my database to try and book an appointment.
Yep. How did you build that original database though? Because you have really, if we look at a growth curve, you've really smashed it in your real estate career, but that wasn't always the case. There was a day one for Krish. What did you do?
Yeah, with the database, I think I built it from my social media, because I do run advertisement for each property. when I list the property. So each property, when people come in, plus whoever's coming for open inspection, plus all the inquiries from social media, I put it on HomePass, which all goes to my database. So from that, property by property, I generated my database, and I think I buy some database as well from the market.
Yeah.
So I collect some database.
So you're definitely running that model where you build a database and then you communicate to the database, and from that comes your business. That's how you're keeping known. James Stacey, you told me you can't walk down the street in Port Lincoln without getting a few people stopping you and saying g'day. How does that go? What happens in those conversations?
You make me sound very popular, Rob. Yeah, so I think if you walk a day in...
Well, you are a celebrity, mate. So we were already talking about, we were talking just before we started the recording about your supermodel career.
Yeah, you like my hair today.
Yeah.
So I think I think, yeah, again, being well known in the community, I've been living, and I consider myself a local now, but by no, I didn't do my schooling here. I moved here fresh out of school, 19 years old, to a country town from Adelaide, and I had my nana and pop lived here, but I knew no one else. Like, that was it. So you've lived here for 15 odd years now and have a family here. But yeah, you can't walk down, or I can't walk down the street. You walk past, of 80% of people that you walk past say g'day to you, 50% would know me by first name, and know that I work in real estate. Well, or probably 20, 30, 40% of them would know that I work in real estate. So I suppose it's just getting to that point, which is great for me. Now, not every single one of those people then use me to sell their home. They also know another agent and maybe two or three agents that work in the industry as well. So, but having those conversations or stopping and, people do generally ask you how the market or what's going on. Everyone wants to know what's happening in the market. Most people own real estate and want to know what's happening. So just stop and have those conversations. They could go absolutely nowhere, but if you have those conversations regularly with the same people, it's going to go somewhere one day. When they turn around and sell real estate or need an agent, you will be front of mind in those conversations as well. I generally keep those conversations pretty casual. People ask me, how's the market? There used to be a script that how's the market? What are you buying or selling? So you know how to frame that conversation with them as well. But we are in a very, very tight market at the moment, and people know that there is no stock around, and there's very few properties or people moving within the market, upsizing or downsizing, because there's nothing for them to buy. So yeah, I think people ask right now, how's the market? It's quiet. People think it's quiet, but when stuff come on or properties come on the market, they're selling really, really fast. But there's very few coming on. That's the problem.
And I think that's one of the real strengths that we have here at EXP, because we do these national meetings every week, whether it be the AMP session or the iConversation session. We're getting a real feel for what's happening across the industry on a national scale, because sometimes real estate agents feel quite isolated in their own little communities or their own, it's a challenge for me in my patch. Well, it's a challenge for everybody, there are people that are in markets where it's really challenging to sell a property right now. And it's the opposite for others. It's really hard to get a property to sell. And
I think every market comes with its own set of challenges.
Absolutely.
A good challenge or a bad challenge. I know that the Adelaide market right now is so hot that what Chris is coming up against, I'm coming up against too, the commission cutters. The best fees will come in a downturn market, because the vendors will pay anything for someone to actually sell their property, to get them out.
I'm on my fourth agent, and I'm just trying to get this property sold.
Seb, how do you win a listing against 0.9? I think just trying to be honest with you, Seb, I don't compete with the 0.9 agent. I won't match his fee. I won't be there at the table. I have lost a lot of listings to him of late. It is very hard to compete with someone that is actually a good agent, that has positioned himself in that way. He's not a bad salesperson by any means. He's not just someone new coming in. He's a new person to my area. Within the last 2 years, so I can still consider him relatively new to my area, but he's certainly not new in real estate. And he's better than 0.9%. He's much, much better. But he's just trying to build market share. So yeah, Seb, to answer your question, I don't win many against him at 0.9%.
And if we're thinking about that, what that means then for James or for Chris or for all of us as agents is that the prospecting has to keep a level playing field. The prospecting has to get ratcheted up. So you've got to be in more doors for more opportunities. If you have someone that is wide anting the industry in your particular area through low fees or whatever, you have to be sitting at more tables, having more conversations. That's the solution to try and balance it out.
That's right. Yeah, it's the law of more, and when it does swing in your favor, then you're going to be listing and selling a lot more as well, and maintaining your fee. Yeah, I don't think it's worth doing. You know, I could operate at that fee if I wanted to and still make money under this model, but I'm not encouraging anyone to do it unless your average sale price is 1.5 million. You know, and you're getting 15, 16 grand per property. You know, then go your hardest if that's where the market is. But I'm sorry, I won't work for 4.5 grand per property. You know, when time on market's still 60, 65 days. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Clinton's saying there used to be a little bit of arbitrage, not arbitrage, but mediation there within the industry, but there isn't now. It's an open slather kind of a scenario. Chris, when we go back to people do business with people they know, like, and trust, how do you keep, and I know you're working your database, how do you keep top of mind with the people on your database? What strategies do you have in place so you've met people or they've encountered you, they've inquired on a property, they've come through a home open, whatnot. How are you keeping in touch with those people?
Okay, you mean buyers or sellers?
Whoever's on your database.
All right. Okay. So first of all, I got ActivePipe, which is automatic emailing. So they get monthly 2 emails at least, and whenever I list the property, they get emails. So they are constantly getting my emails. Also, from database, I have telecaller, so they can constantly calling over my database. And also, I try to call them as well every few months. And yeah, I think I got Rita as well, which is a text message prospecting. So I have set up that as well. So few ways I can try to talk to all my database.
And for the agents that are new to EXP or they are new to trying to build their business, it's an interesting thing we hear from our Icon agents on a repeated basis. They have systems in place, they've invested in technology, and they are working those systems. We just had Peter Forbes on, who's on this call as an audience member. Again, very interesting that success leaves clues. Most of our top agents come to this training every week. Yeah, saying the exact same thing. It's got a big database, communicates to the database, make sure that thing is happening on a regular basis. And it's just interesting to observe. That's all. Not afraid to invest in your business. Guys, we got about 2 to 3 minutes left. What advice would you give if you were mentoring a young agent or a person that doesn't have a lot of experience in real estate and they're in a changing market? What advice would you give for them for competing in that small, either farm area or small town?
Yeah, I love listening to Peter talk because he's got no idea what he does well, but I think he's just a nice, genuine guy, and that's what gets him through people's doors and what gets him his business. But the nice guys win in this game. You know, sorry to swear, but arseholes don't do well. They do well for a short period. There's an aggression, but I dare say Peter knows when to turn the heat up, and he'll be a nice guy until he needs to be the turn the heat up on someone, and then yeah, that's right. And then they'll get the deal done. But yeah, I think that's the most important thing, is just being nice and genuine about it, and trying to, I know it sounds pretty generic to say this, but be yourself. Don't try and be an imposer or be someone else. I think if you can back up your niceness with market data and market facts and talk
knowledge, you got to have
and
some
knowledge,
knowledge.
yeah, don't go in talking what you don't know, but yeah, and talk with confidence and execute an appointment well. People will list with you. People will do business with you because if you can be a likable, it's that know, like, trust thing. They know who you are already. They know you're a real estate agent. They just don't contact you until they need you. But they know who you are. Getting through the door, you've got to be a likable person, which I think most of the people at the table at EXP are likable people. And it's just then building that rapport and that trust with that person, and they'll do business with you. You can't combat people cost cutting and fee cutting and these obscure deals that people do. They throw left, curveballs at you and whatnot. But I think if you're starting all new in the game, it's just getting out and being in the community that you want to be well known in. I would live in the community that you're going to be selling real estate in. I think that's an important part of it, unless you can't afford to get into that market. But you're going to be forever battling if you can't afford, to be in that market. You've still got to shop in that market, drink coffee in that market, eat in that market, be in that market constantly, and try and get your name and your face out there as much as possible. That would be my.
You've just reminded me there as well. Sometimes I was just saying to one of our agents recently, I used to work with a guy that would get real angry when things went wrong, and you spend all this time, energy, effort to build up relationships within a community, and then you spit the dummy at somebody because something didn't go right or whatnot, and you can really burn your reputation quickly. Yeah, and so there's that. Krish, what about you? You're now 3-4 years into the game. You're smashing it. You've got somebody as a younger person in the industry. What would you be saying to them to be successful?
I think stick to all the basics in real estate, and trying to all the free stuff like door knocking, talk to people, talk to your database, just like all the basic stuff which is not costing you money, and then you can start slowly. But just show your vendor that you are able to work hard and get good price for them. And then because you don't have anything, that means that you are working for them specifically.
Yeah. And I think what both of you guys do through your social media and other things is that when you do get a win on the board, you celebrate that win. You get it out through your channels, whether it's your social media, your database, that kind of stuff. So either a new listing or a sale or whatnot, people are aware that that's actually happened. And when we talk about that formula of know, like, and trust, the trust is what you might, if you've done Lee Woodward training or whatnot, you're hearing about the social proof, and trust comes from proof. And so when you have those just solds, either the DL cards, the social media posts, all of that stuff, it just reminds people. And I know it's really weird because I've said this myself, if we were dentists, would we go, hey, another cavity filled today? Yeah, I get it. But at the same time, we need to let people know that we're in the business and we're successful with that. Just finally, James, what are you doing for your social proof? Is it social media? Are you doing DL cards? What are you doing?
Yeah, social media for me is big, and it has been for a number of years now. But yeah, big sold stickers,
Sponsored
big
post?
I do sponsored posts. I haven't lately. I've been steering towards. I've only just actually started again doing some paid ads on real estate. I've been for a long time now doing Google ads and some different promotions through Rate My Agent and whatnot that had good traction to start with, but I think people get sick of seeing the same thing. So I've just changed it up this yesterday, actually, changed all my marketing and put out some fresh advertising yesterday. So just trying to keep ahead of the curve and generate some more business that way.
Yeah, very good. And same with you, Krish. A lot of yours is through the social media?
Yes, social media.
Yeah, fantastic. James and Krish, thank you so much for joining us on iConversations. And for all of you, these guys are open to having a chat with you. I'm throwing them that way, but I know the type of people they are. If you've got questions specifically for your area, you know, I know we've got a lot of regional people. They might want to reach out to James and just pick the brain, pick James's brain or whatnot, or specifically people that resonate with what Krish is saying. Just do the work. That's Krish's message every single time we have Krish as a guest. Have a system, do the work. Have a system, do the work. So fantastic, guys. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
See ya.